It may not immediately seem like it, but what you're looking at here is the front line in an economic conflict. And it's a conflict which could force Greece out of the euro. But even then, there are good outcomes and bad outcomes. Consider the financial system, and here even the best case and the worst case scenarios could start to look pretty similar. Even if there is a bailout and the ECB steps in and pumps up the amount of cash going into the system, there could still be queues outside cash points. The banks still could be closed for quite some time. But if there's no deal, the ECB could pull funding entirely. Then you can have banks collapsing. You could even have money being confiscated from people's deposits and full-blown panic. Let's assume Greece does stay in the euro. What's the best case scenario? Well, it gets the bailout for one thing. It gets some of its debt written off. But you're going to have a lot of compromises on both sides. It's going to be tough and it's going to take some time. But there's also a bad version of that euro story. Greece stays in the single currency. It gets on life support from the European Central Bank, but not that much. So it stays in a state of permanent crisis, weighing down its prospects while it stays within the single currency, almost as a slave state. Nor are things particularly clear-cut, even if Greece were to decide to leave the euro and return to the drachma. This is the drachma cafe, by the way. They would devalue. There could be a boost in exports. They could get rid of their debt. That's the happy version of the story, and that results in a genuine boom. But there's another unhappy version of that story. The drachma falls, it devalues, yes, but it keeps on devaluing just like it did back in the bad old days. Pushes up import prices, people pull their money desperately out of the country, and you're left with yet another depression after the terrible one that's already come. And that's the thing, we know what the referendum result is. What we don't know are the other permutations. Does Greece stay in the euro? Does it go back to the drachma? Is this a story that ends happily? Is it one that ends sadly? What we do know is it's going to be a very bumpy ride.